Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to our September meeting. I'd like to ask Commissioner Markey to lead us in the pledge. Thank you. We just finished our annual BCSO closed door meeting there in the back. We had that at 8 a.m. So that's why we have several extra members of the Brevard County Sheriff's Department here. Thank you guys for briefing us on that. At this time, I'd like to recognize our ambassadors that are present. Mr. Mike Gautreaux, Bob Sox, Mr. Sean Conway. We have some ambassadors emeritus, Jim Hanley, and as always, the respected Mac McLeod. I think I did see Robbie Roberts back there. Thank you. Sorry about that. And moving on, do I have an approval of today's agenda?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. And I'm sure, Jerry, you read the minutes very carefully this last month.
Howard.
Do I hear?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of our August 21 meeting.
Second. Second by Fritz. All in favor? Aye. Now we're moving on to honoring port retirees. Donna?
Good morning. I am Donna Greenswig, and AXA Director of Human Resources. I am here to recognize our port retirees. Our first retiree is Craig Paxton. Craig worked at the port in the role of Senior Director in Operational Excellence and Process Improvement since he joined CPA in 2018. He recently came out of retirement to serve as the port's interim CFO. Craig's experience in the maritime industry spans more than 42 years, mostly with international ocean carriers. When at the port, Craig's focus was on using defined approaches and tools to support eliminating rework, ensuring compliance, driving revenue, managing costs, and improving processes, quality, and consistency at the port. He and his team identify and address issues and opportunities to implement sustainable change and resulting in measurable financial and customer gains. Now that Craig is retired, he is spending time planning future travel with his wife, Karen, working on political issues and projects around his house. Craig has also started documenting his life stories and is looking forward to continuing his writing. Thank you, Craig. Our next retiree is Robbie Pooley. Robbie joined the Canaveral Port Authority in November of 1990. For more than 3 decades, she has worked in and oversaw the custodial support operations for the port-owned facilities, which include our tenant businesses and cruise terminal areas. Robbie took great pride in managing the external custodial contract teams that clean and sanitize Port Canaveral's facilities, so they shined and operated at their best for our guests and visitors. Robbie's dedication to this mission was of even greater importance when we returned to cruising and welcomed cruise guests back to Port Canaveral after the pandemic. Robbie loves Port Canaveral and has always been known for her warm smile, high level of professionalism with internal and external stakeholders. Her manager commented that Robbie has created great relationships with our customers and port partners. In her retirement, Robbie is enjoying spending time with her family. She just mentioned to me she's going on a cruise. The silence of phone calls, emails, and text messages, and doing projects at her home. Thank you, Robbie.
Thank you. I guess we have a time certain on our next item for 9:10 a.m., so I'm assuming that we're going to go back to that. So, John, did you want to do your CEO?
Sure.
Sure.
Good morning. Right into things. Cruise update. We've got a lot going on. We're getting ready for the busiest season we've ever had in the port. So this is the calm before the storm. So far this year, and this is through August, 845 calls, 7 million multi-day passengers. We will have another passenger record count this year, but we'll wait until next month for the actual announcement. But as you can see, we've already passed last year's 6.8 million through August. It's been a very, very good year, strong year. We had an issue with the Carnival Vista on September 7th. It was one sailing canceled in this month and this year. It was alongside CT5 for some engine repairs. Successful sea trial happened a couple weeks ago, and she went back into service on the 15th. About 1 week, one sailing loss. Disney Treasure left for shipyard sea trials on September 19th. Recall that vessel will be here in November, and we'll add to one of our 3 extra vessels that we'll have this winter season. Norwegian Epic is the first winter season ship to return back on October 30th, doing 7-day sailing since 2010. And recently we had the FCCA Platinum Associate Membership Advisory that was submitted by our business development team. Just the monthly numbers, just year on year, last year versus this year. You can see that we were much stronger from the December to April timeframe, and that's largely as a result of the larger ships we had on the berth this year versus last year. Back at the June to August period, that's just monthly variations between 5-week months to 4-week months. So otherwise, it's pretty steady through the summer season. On the cargo side, 459 ship calls, 6.1 million tons of cargo. We had a lot of space activity this month. We had the Ariane Group's MV Canopy inaugural visit on September 2nd. I'll have a picture of that at the end of our presentation. It's the first wind-powered cargo vessel. It's a very, very unique vessel. It was delivering European Space Agency service module ESM-3 from NASA's SLS mission to the moon. We also had the arrival of Blue Origin's Jacqueline. That's their landing platform vessel. For the New Glenn, arrived on September 4th. It's still here in the port, conducting various tests and upgrades prior to going into service to retrieve the first booster when they launch. Space Perspectives, MV Voyager. Space Perspective is space tourism that puts a cylinder, and the cylinder's in this picture, with big windows, and they send it up a hydrogen balloon to 100,000 feet on a 6-hour journey, and then they recover it, and it's all space tourism. So they did their first test of the spaceship itself, Spaceship Neptune, in the Gulf of Mexico, and this is the return. Oh, this is the loading out that just returned last weekend. Year to date, space components recovered 59 SpaceX boosters versus 44 last year, and 142 fairings versus 94 last year. So everybody's doing well on the space side.
So, John, Space Perspectives, did they unload with our crane? And
Yes. Yes, everybody's using our 2 cranes right now. So SpaceX has been using one or both of them, depends on what's going on at any certain time. So our cranes are getting plenty of usage right now. The first bullet here is something we don't talk about a lot here, but International Longshoremen's Association, also known as the ILA, and the U.S. Maritime Alliance, which is the employer of the ILA, which includes all of the major ocean container carriers, the ports and port associations, and the stevedoring and terminal operators in the group from Eastport, Maine to Brownsville, Texas. And there is a contract, a master contract between the 2 parties that's set to expire on September 30th. And the negotiations have stopped, and the ILA is refusing to return to the table. They have some demands, and the USMX is not adhering to them. So all indications are that on October 1st, which is next Tuesday, our nation's seaports will be on strike on the East Coast and Gulf Coast. And what that means is the products that we find every day at Walmart or grocery store, whatever is being imported in those containers, is going to get stuck. And there doesn't seem to be any resolution in sight right now. The federal government's involved. The Federal Mediation Services already approached USMX. There's a lot going on, but there's no movement. And without a contract, there's no work. So unless the administration steps in, which at this point they've indicated they are not, we'll have a strike on Monday or Tuesday next week. So just for everybody's awareness, if that goes on for a week or 10 days, you'll start to see shortages in stores and just general products. There's so much imported.
About impacting this.
As far as Port Canaveral, there's two things. As far as Port Canaveral, we do have ILA represented here in the port. They handle our cruise vessels. They represent, they actually handle all of the stores and the baggage and the cruise ships, and the ILA has indicated that they will not strike against any government-related operations or the cruise industry. It's totally on the cargo side. So just be aware. This past 2 weeks, we had the Coast Guard Port Access Route Study. It was a public meeting held on September 19th. It was well attended by port users. Public comments can still be submitted up until October 9th. What was really most apparent in the meeting is the Coast Guard with the safety zones with all the fishing industry is really hurting from this. And there was a lot of discussions about when you can go into the safety zone, when you can't. So the Coast Guard is going to hold a separate meeting with the commercial fishing guys as a follow-up to this. As we have more and more launches and more safety zones and restrictions, it's getting harder and harder for the commercial fishermen to make a living if they can't fish the ocean. And their business goes where the fish are. But if the fish are in that area and they can't go, it's really impacting their business. So they're looking for ways to try and streamline that. So there'll be a separate meeting with the Coast Guard. The meeting was recorded. The link's available on the port website. So if any of you want to watch it or you know anybody that has an interest in what the discussions were, please point them to our website. On the environmental side, we had the Resilience Conference, 11th to the 13th, and we also sponsored the Sea Turtle Preservation Society's Turtle Crawl, like we do every year. We provide beautiful internal coastal cleanup. Was held on September 21st at Jetty Park. That included CPA staff, Disney Cruise Lines, and the Propeller Club. Lastly, we have the CPA Annual Stormwater Compliance and Pollution Prevention Workshop for port tenants, held on September 23rd. Recreation update, campgrounds at 50%, average daily vehicle count 308. It's been very busy at Jetty Park. Recreation team continues to receive positive feedback from customer surveys. We get rated on places like Google, Expedia, all that. So guests are constantly rating their experiences at Jetty Park. And that's good that we can retain a good 4.6 rating. We also welcome space enthusiasts and media representatives for vessel arrivals and launches. We had a number of different events over the last month between launches and of course the Utopia was the same that was the event. Purchasing update, we did the 14th annual reverse trade show is scheduled for October 24th at Cruise Terminal 1. Opportunity to showcase your business to local procurement professionals in the Brevard County for free. And more information is available on our website. That's been a very, very successful event that we put on, as I said, for 14 years. And I think both the community and our employees enjoy going to it. On the public safety side, they're prototyping a new LNG tendering system for Eagle Marine to support the Utopia of the Seas. They've added AI technology to port security systems for improving automated detection. Also coordinated with Coast Guard, Fish and Wildlife for removal of derelict vessels in State Road 528. There's been numerous complaints about the vessels down there, so our team is involved with both Coast Guard and FWC. We have the storm update. Unified Command has been activated. We're in frequent discussions now, scheduled discussions with Coast Guard, Jacksonville here, with our Unified Command. Locally includes all of our port partners from VSO to CFR to U.S. Customs Border Protection. The anticipation is the port will go to condition Zulu by 1700 today. It might be a little later than that. That means the port waterways are officially closed. Vessels that aren't permitted to stay in port in Zulu have already been evacuated. Anybody that's still here has the ability to stick around. They have that because they have a plan in place back in May timeframe, and so they been pre-approved. They have to get permission from the Coast Guard to remain in port. We don't know when or how long the event will last, but we keep an eye on it. We've got a busy Friday, and our Thursday ship is flipping to Friday, so it's going to be hectic here. So we want to get the port back open as soon as we can. When the port is closed under Zulu, it's only the marine side. The boat ramps will be secured because anything in the water that go out, the port's closed. But all land operations can continue at our tenant's discretion.
I'm just going to underscore, I mean, we've all been through a lot of hurricanes. This is a huge hurricane, and it's going to be extraordinarily powerful, and it's going to be in the West Coast and the Panhandle and Inland.
It's got a very wide wind field, and that was the reason for the port closure. We're not evacuating marinas. It's not the intent. So everything in the marina district remaining owners will be responsible for securing their own vessels, but this is not going to be a surge event for us. It's going to be a wind event. And when the anticipated winds over 45 miles per hour, that's when the Coast Guard executed the closures and put back the bill and looking at it. Any questions on that? Here's our wind ship, Ariane 6 on board, and those vertical things, when the sails come out, they're like a aircraft wing, and they function just like an aircraft wing develops a low pressure in front of it, and that's what makes it work. It makes an airplane fly. They can shut down one engine on the ship and actually improve the speed with the wind on it. Pretty unique vessel. It was here for several days, so a lot of folks got to see it. Any other questions? All right, thanks.
Thanks, John. We're going backwards on the agenda to our closed fiscal year 25 operating budget, capital budget resolution. Jeff Long.
Need to increase the IT budget.
Good morning. Good morning. All right, so what I'm going to do this morning is recap our fiscal year 25 operating and capital budget. As you know, I went through the detailed presentation in our August initial meeting. As you also know, I met with you individually, go over the detailed budget last month. We also met individually earlier this week to go over the budget. There are no changes from what we proposed last month. Total revenues remain the same, total expenses, etc. Just as a recap, our proposed FY25 operating budget, we are anticipating operating revenues of about $211 million. And FY25, as you know, starts actually Tuesday, October 1st. It runs through September 30th of next. So just a few days away from starting up this year. Good morning.
Good morning again for the 14th time.
And from an operating expense standpoint, we are budgeting $136 million for FY25. Included in that number is the annual increase for the commission salary. So that we will increase the maximum allowable by law. That results in operating income of $74.8 million for FY25. After non-operating revenues and non-operating expenses, our bottom line is $70.2 million for FY25. And what is that $70.2 million used for? It's used for a couple of things. One is obviously we're going to invest those funds right back into capital projects and other things. Additionally, that bottom line allows us the funds to continue making the debt payments along with interest. We currently have $340 million of bonds. So that's something that obviously our bottom line and our cash flow enables us to continue to pay back. Taking a look at our FY25 capital projects, if you remember, our total for next year is projected to be to spend $174 billion. 86 million of that is 34 projects in FY24, 88 million are new projects that will be commencing in FY25. So the port funds will be funding 93% of the 174 million. So a large line share of the 174 that we projected in capital projects. We're getting about 12 million we anticipate from the state in FY25 for these projects. About 1 million from a federal perspective. So again, 93%, 161 million is what we will be funding with our own port. As you remember, last month I talked about the proposed tariff changes. We have discussed these changes with students. We've also advertised in advance. Also last month, if you remember, we made some very minor language revisions to some of the FTZ sections. So after any questions that you may have, the call today will be for you all to approve our FY25 operating and capital budget with the resolution to adopt the budget. Also approve the FY25 recommended tariff modifications.
Mr. Chairman, at this stage, I want to make a motion to approve fiscal year 25 operating budget and capital budget. The resolution is set out for the tariff and for the modification.
Thank you, Jerry.
Chairman, I'm going to be a nay vote on the operating budget.
One more, let's get a second first.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Discussion?
Yeah, and this is symbolic no vote. If I didn't think we had the votes up here, I wouldn't be a no vote. So, but no, I'm opposed to two things that are in the budget, and I've expressed one of these before, is the bonus plan. I've not been in favor of, or if at the very least, if we did have a bonus plan that the funds were dispersed equally in all employees. And then the second one is the 3% match on the 457 plan, the deferred compensation. It's just a little bit too good for me. And again, this is not a reflection on the work that the employees do here. I think everybody does a great job. But I'm just trying to be a little bit fiscally prudent, if you will. So those would be my objections. And that's just for the operating budget. And again, this is just symbolic. If I didn't think we had this cleared up here, I wouldn't vote it.
I'd like to take a moment to look at our engineer, get a little nod that he's ready to execute $170 million of project next year.
We are ready, sir.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We have a motion. We have a second. Any more discussion?
Chairman?
Oh, I'm sorry. Harold, is there any public comment? So no one is going to speak on this exciting budget. Thank you. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 4-1.
If I may, I'd like to recognize a few people that are very critical to the budget process. I've got the easy part. I stand up and present our budget. But there are many people that are involved in the budget process, and I'm going to recognize several of them. First, from the finance and accounting perspective, very heavy lifting for the budget process is done by two people in my group. And Pat Poston, who is actually working remote today. Pat is responsible mainly for the revenue side of the budget and meeting with department heads. He's also responsible for the capital budget and making sure we've got that allocated correctly, et cetera. Secondly, Diana Menz-Reese, who's the controller of the organization. Diana, which I would like to recognize, Diana is here. Diana, can you please stand? She does a great job with the budget, and she primarily focuses on operating expenses. So thank you, Diana, for all your hard work. Additionally, I'd like to recognize just a few more folks. First is Bill Crow. I think everyone knows Bill. But Bill and his team are very critical to the budget process, the capital budget process. As you mentioned, we've got $174 million of capital spend projected in FY25. That's over 5 years, FY25 through FY29. We have $500 million in capital projects. That's $500 billion that basically Bill and his team will be managing. So thank you, Bill, for your work. Additionally, on the revenue side, they are not here. They're actually in a meeting, but they may be listening to this meeting. But Dave Gilman, Lee Harrison, they both are in our cruise business development. They are very critical to the budget process, especially obviously on the cruise revenue side, which is a big part of our revenue. So thank you to Dave and Marie. Additionally, from a revenue perspective, Samantha Cornelius, is Samantha here? Can you stand up as well? Yeah, so that's Samantha Cornelius. She is our VP of Cargo Business Development. So again, very integral to the budget process, making sure that we are accounting for cargo and we know what to project there. Also, Mark Ellisitz. Mark, are you here? I believe you are. If you could stand as Mark. Mark is over our real estate area of the organization. And obviously, lease revenue is very important, so we work very closely with Mark on that. Then finally, Clyde Mathis. Clyde, do you mind standing up? Clyde is our VP of Cruise and Cargo Operations. So Clyde has a very large team and obviously very integral to the budget process. So there are many others that we work closely with. It's a very collaborative effort, the budget process. And again, I've got the easy part just presenting it, but thank you for letting me recognize a folks that are critical to it as well.
Thank you, Jeff. All right, stay right where you are. We're going to move into your report for the month.
Okay.
Like we're at a Taylor Swift concert or something with all these mic changes.
Good morning.
Morning again.
All right, so I'm going to quickly go through our August results. As you know, August, we've completed August. We closed out August. It's the 11th month of our fiscal year 24. So I'm just going to run through this pretty quickly, just hit some of the highlights. Our operating revenues for the month of August are $15.4 million, operating expenses 9.7, resulting in operating income for the month of August of $5.7 million. Year to date, for the 11 months through August, our operating revenues are $176 million, about 2% above budget. Operating expenses just under $109 million for the 11 months, so we're about 4% below budget there. And operating income, we are 12% above budget and sitting at $7.7 million for the 11 months. So obviously favorable on revenue, favorable on operating expenses, and obviously on operating income. So August statistics, we had 75 cruise calls this past month. We had 64 last August of 2023, 25% above passengers, August 24 compared to August 23. From a cargo perspective for the month, 70 cargo calls in a month, we had 55 in August of 2023. So increase there, led mainly by Bull. Year-to-date statistics, cruise calls, 846 cruise calls, which is exactly on budget. 7 million passengers for the 11 months. So we're 4% above budget from that standpoint, 12% year over year compared to year-to-date August 2023. Cargo, including space, total 652 cargo calls, 8% increase year over year. And that's 6.1 million tons that we've had for the 11 months. Led mainly by total passengers, actuals above budget. We've mentioned that, Don mentioned that as well. From a cargo perspective, for the 11 months through August, we have $21.6 million in cargo revenue, representing fees about $16 million, then also rent representing about $5.7 million. 652 cargo calls, 1 million total. Revenues for the month of August, just a month, you can see at the bottom, total operating revenues, $15.4 million, which is very close, within 1.4% of budget for the month. And obviously, year to date, we're favorable to the budget. Cruise passengers year to date, looking at it from a quarterly perspective, on the left, FY24, quarter one, on the right, FY23, quarter one, you can see for each quarter, we've exceeded where we were last year for the 11 months through August. Then quarter four, which is just 2 months out of the 3, we're also ahead of last year. Total passengers year over year by month, John mentioned this as well. Obviously, the trend were higher than FY23. August passengers by cruise line, Royal leads passenger count, followed by Carnival, Disney, MSC, and NCA. Year to date, similar. Royal Caribbean has year to date passengers of about 2.67 million, followed by Carnival, over 2 million for the 11 months. Disney just over 1 million, MSC 800,000, and NCL From a RCI perspective, for the 11 months, the Allure of the Seas is the largest movement of passengers. We'll see Utopia is fifth, but obviously they just started selling late in the fiscal year, so we'll see Utopia come to the top for the full year. Carnival perspective, Mardi Gras is the leading passenger count there, followed by Freedom and Liberty. Disney, Wish is the largest one, Seashore for MSC, and State for NCA. From a lease, recreation, and miscellaneous revenue standpoint, for FY24 year to date for the 11 months is $10.8 million, which is about $593,000 ahead of budget for the year. Leases make up $4.4 million of that. Recreation, Jetty Park, $2.8 million in miscellaneous, about $1.5 million. So year to date, operating revenues for the 11 months, you can see the total, $176 million versus budget of $173, so $2.8 million or 1.6% above budget. Operating expenses, taking a look at the total, $109 million actual compared to $113 budget, so we're about $4.5 million favorable on total operating expenses, or about 4% lower than budget. All this results in total revenue from the operating standpoint of $176 after operating expenses for the 11 months operating income just at $68 million after non-operating revenues and expenses maybe further out. Our bottom line addition to make further investments into the port and to make sure we're financially secure to continue making bond payments. Our bottom line is $67.7 million for 11 months. You can see the trend here from the operating income revenue perspective. The green bar graph represents revenue. yellow expenses and the blue operating income. So as you look to the left, FY18, you can see where we were pre-COVID and the dip during the COVID impact of FY 2021, and then ramping back up in 22, and you can see last year and this year how well we are doing from a revenue and our operating income perspective.
Thank you, Jeff. Any questions?
Seeing none, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion approving this disposal of legal bills, Mrs. Minor expenses for August, and through the system report, the agent report, with the bills for August 24th, and the financial memo for August.
Motion, do I hear a second? Second. That's all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Jeff. Capital update. Bill Crow. Put some music in your presentation, sir.
Troy just informed me that the music has been canceled for today, so.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Pleasure to be here today and give you this brief update. I wanted to thank Jeff for giving the shout out to all of the various team members that went together to put together that capital budget. It was definitely a collaborative effort, and Jeff was great to work with through that process, so it worked very well. I as well have some highlights I want to bring to your attention. One of my team members started here a dozen years ago, Patrick Hammond, as an intern, has recently been promoted to senior project manager, so I have 2 senior PMs, and with my staff, we're very much looking forward to executing this capital budget. Before I get into the presentation, I think it's an excellent opportunity for Captain Murray to introduce one of our newest team members here in the audience today.
Despite 2 reminders from my assistant, Jenny, I neglected to do it while I was up there. But I wanted to introduce Steve Shelton. Steve, if you'd stand just briefly. Steve is coming in. He's going to be our new Vice President of Facilities Optimization. And what I've done is carved off our maintenance team into a separate unit. Our port has gotten very, very big, very complicated. And I could see a need, and we've done a deep dive analysis on everything we do here over the last year, and we need to raise the bar on our maintenance activities, and brought Steve in to join Bill, his team, and the rest of our team members to just do just that. So we'll see some changes, I'm sure, over the next couple of years, but we're very, very much a public-facing enterprise, and I think we need to be the best we can be. So this is just recognizing the importance of what people do here. So thank you and welcome, Steve.
Thank you. So I have a host of items on the consent agenda today, many of which are associated with that start of the new fiscal year. So feel free to ask questions about those items during the presentation if you will. But I want to highlight a few of the items that are key for this commission meeting. Item 1F and 1G are related to the Smart Pond system that has been successfully implemented, permitted, and now we are approved to move forward with the North Side Pond infill project. So this is the result of that continuous monitoring and adaptive control system, the CMAQ system. That resulted in roughly 25 acre-feet of compensatory storage, which is a stormwater volume term. We are applying roughly 15 acre-feet of storage from the Northside Pond into that CMAQ system. Stormwater runoff will continue to meet all applicable treatment criteria through the existing control boxes and weir systems. We have 2 very large weir structures on the north side. One is located right around the CMEX facility, and another one at the north side of the USA facility that do and will continue to treat stormwater before it enters the harbor. Any questions on these 2 items?
I think it's important to point out, especially with the recent discussions we've had with state and with the space companies that cargo on the north side, because of this particular product we've purchased in this particular project, we're filling in that entire pond and gaining very valuable land on the north side of the port. And so 15 acres, is that correct?
It is, so 15 acre feet is the storage volume. It's about 7.5 acres of actual land.
We're gaining 8 acres of usable space
Correct.
because of this. So that's a huge asset to the north side of the port.
It is, absolutely. And then, give me, I was going to say the exact same thing.
Yes, I'm glad you pointed that out. Absolutely.
But Bill, if I could just add that you know, we've got an approaching hurricane right now, and the system's pretty cool. I sat with Bob Musser last night, and he was online checking out our pond, and the pond's getting real-time data. And I was just curious if it's going to bring it down, but it knows that this is more of a wind event here than a rain event. So at this point in time, it's not doing anything, but you can see it all real-time, what it's doing. It's pretty neat. So, an online storm pond.
I think we checked yesterday afternoon, and it had already like 8 acre feet of capacity in anticipation of what would come. But yeah, you can see the National Weather Service forecast data coming through the telemetry of the system and actuating that valve or keeping it closed. So it's really exciting, some great technology there. And as we look forward to other expansions on the north side, this project is key to maximize our use of those areas. So item 1G is construction admin services with Jacobs, and the pond infill is through W&J for the nearly $2 million price tag. That will include replumbing of the pond in addition to filling it. Moving on to flash parking system, we have spoken a lot about this in the past year and a half. We have implemented the flash parking system at the following facilities, 1, 5, 6, and 10. So far to date, it has been a very successful implementation. There's a lot of critical data that is being produced by that system, and it's very dependable, and it's just been an excellent add to our operations. This agenda item is completing the portfolio. We're adding it a Cruise Terminal 3 and Cruise Terminal 8. The Cruise Terminal 3, everything is contained within the existing garage. Cruise Terminal 8, if you recall, the entrance point and the exit point are located externally from the garage, so there's a little bit more work to do in implementing the system at CT8. We have to run substantial conduit pathways to and from these two areas outside the garage to upgrade that equipment.
But one of the good takeaways from this morning's meeting was some more information on the technological advances of the system, and then that's a good takeaway.
Very good. Moving on, item 1L, Terminal 1 passenger boarding bridge, runway widening. So this is a $272,000 PO to Rush Marine. So due to some differences in the latest Oasis class, there's a portion of the hull at the main passenger boarding deck that's about 5 feet wider. It doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it produces this condition where our passenger boarding bridge bogey wheels actually sit to the south off of the original reinforced concrete runway. So you see the lighter section of pavement right there, that's the reinforced concrete runway. The bogey wheels are sitting off that to the south. So we are widening each runway on this land side and then on the water side runway about 4 feet. Limited distance shown there in red, and it will allow continued service of various Oasis class vessels. You think an Oasis class is the same, but each one has some unique variances to it. Terminal 8, if you recall, last October we kicked off the replacement of one internal air handler unit. We are actually bringing the other two to you at this commission meeting. So 2 other original internal HVAC air handler units are being replaced through the train contract. And those are the items I wanted to cover before you. Do you have any questions about any of the other projects that we have going on? Cruise, cargo, or recreation? Questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Moving on to our consent agenda. Melanie, do we have any public comment on the consent agenda? Mr. Von Volkenberg, do you have any items to pull for?
Nothing to pull, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Justice.
To pull 2A and 2B.
One C.
None for me.
I have none. So I will entertain a motion to approve 1A, 1B, 1D, 1E, 1F, 1G, 1H, 1I, 1J, 1K, 1L, and 3A, 3B, 3C.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, going back to Commissioner Allender, 1C.
Yeah, sand bypass program is always a project for the court. So I would have Bob explain where we are and what we have to look forward to when we sand bypass. Something that is set out in the papers here for Olson.
Morning, Commissioners. So item 1C has multiple parts to it. First part, as Commissioner Allender mentioned, is approval of a purchase order to Olson Associates. Olson Associates has been our long-term partner, not only with the port, but also with Brevard County on coastal engineering. They are being acquired and assigned to a new company, and we all know Dr. Kevin Dodge is very careful on who he selected, but his entire team is moving over to a new company called both Structure and Environment. So we're not losing that long-term knowledge with this team. That is part of this item, as is a purchase order for Olson folks to do the work for the next year with the sand bypass number 6 that you mentioned. Sand bypass 6 was just awarded a few days ago to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to Great Lakes Dredge and Dock for a little, just under, I believe, it's $41 million for the project. They are currently anticipated to mobilize during the time frame for the project from December to April, anticipating to mobilize in November and start the work on the sand bypass placement, which is the north portion, down to about the middle of the year in mid-December. And then this project, this sand bypass is unique. They're also going to include North Reach. They're also going to go down and do about 4 miles north of Patrick's Basement. We will have our project manager, Chris Penn, will be here in October to give a more detailed overview on that project and graphics, details on how everything is planned to go forward with that. If you have any other specific questions on the agenda, I'd be happy to answer them.
Very well. And it's always good to explain what involved and what we've been doing. The beaches and the sand bypass for many years. Chairman, I would move approval of item 1C.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed? Motion carries. Bob? Mr. Justice, 2A and 3. Separate.
2A, I'd like to ask Craig to come up and say a few words. Also, I think he's here and is welcome as well to support any issues. And I just want to make sure we have a chance to talk a little bit of the public about what's going on and stop to do that.
Happy to do that, Commissioner. Good morning, everybody. What you have before you today is a second amendment to the development agreement that was approved a little less than 3 years ago by the board. If you recall, the development agreement included an exhibit that had a schedule of project milestones, submittal deadlines for site plans for the more detailed project development, the commencement of construction, as well as project safety. And we have been working with the aquarium team for a couple of months on revising that overall schedule. We're not quite there yet, so the item you have before you today is a bit of a stopgap measure, because one of those deadlines for commencing construction was years from when the original agreement was approved. And there were some consequences of not meeting that deadline, so we're pushing that deadline out for a couple of months. That will give us the opportunity to come back to the board at either our October meeting or our December meeting with a more detailed revision to the project schedule, and then that would be
Thanks. Good.
The aquarium people, staffers, doing with that short-term extension. It's going to be reported regular. Are you going to come up with these criteria that you're about, or is it going to be on the piece to decide how they're progressing in the development of it?
We are certainly going to work together with Keith and his team to come up with a revision to that schedule that works for both sides, and we'll make that recommendation.
Do you think that can be done between now and?
I do.
Thanks.
Thanks, Craig. Keith, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to say we're working hand in hand with Port staff, with Craig and Bill and his team to just make sure get it right as the project's evolved. As you know, we've added some exciting new elements, and we just want to make sure the agreement really works great for both sides. We've been working hand in hand on this, Commissioner, that had pieces going back and forth. As you know, these projects are complex. So just want to make sure when we come back to you with a revision of change, we get it right, and we're all moving forward together.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you. I see some of your team back here from the aquarium, so thank you guys for being here to support the project.
Okay, with that, I'll move to have
Second.
Yeah.
We have a second and a motion.
We made the motion under.
Just kidding.
It's a motion up there, but it was.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you guys. Looking forward to hearing from you soon. Item 3D.
Yeah, I'd like to, I pulled this specifically, I'd like to ask Peter to come up and say a few words. Welcome the chief here today. And while we did our security meeting this morning, we didn't talk to fire. I want to take the opportunity to publicly recognize the extraordinary teamwork that it's done as well here in this port with the fire arrangement.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, appreciate your time this morning talking about Stark County Sheriff's Office. They're one of our big partners for safety and security in the port. Our other big partner is Merrill Fire Rescue. Sergeant and his team do an exceptional job throughout the did over 3,200 responses last year to request for service. They always there when we need them. Same thing with the Sheriff's Department. When I call Chief Sergeant, responsive to always needed it. They're vital to our continuing to move passengers and cargo through the port. Anytime there's an accident, just like the sheriff's department, they show up, we move vehicles from the roadway. One thing they haven't learned how to do, though, is stand in the shade. We had a rollover with an 18-wheel truck, and the sheriff's department was on scene, the fire department was on scene. All the sheriff's departments were congregated in one section of the roadway. Firefighters were on the other section of the roadway. They're looking at the sheriff and go, "Why are you guys standing over there?" They're standing in the shade of the overhead sign. Also critical to success is our training academy. We just signed up RCL for 6 training classes for LNG, both the new vessels. CFR was critical to us getting LNG in the port. We get Disney Treasure in November, get Star of the Sea in July, and then 5 of our ships will be LNG powered, a third of our fleet will be LNG, and a lot of that's due to our support from CFR. So for the initial acquisition of the training, now we have a training academy. We provide LNG training and firefighter training for all of our students. We also handle all of our lifeguard services center. So, again, a vital cog in our safety and security team. I urge you to support the contract for the.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you. With that, I'll move for approval of item 3B.
Second.
I'd like to have a little bit of discussion on that. Have any of you guys been able to use the water cannon on the fireboat? I feel like I haven't. I think maybe Commissioner Justice has.
Let me know, Mr. Chairman. I'll set you up for a ride on the fireboat. That's
all right. Well, now you have my support. So.
Thank you.
All right. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. No opposed? Other comment? Not even Mac? After last month's meeting, I thought for sure Mac would be up here for round 2. All right, Commissioner reports. Commissioner Van Wilkenberg.
Nothing big to add, Mr. Chairman.
A couple of things. I had a chance to represent the port at the Palm Bay Chambers Space Coast Space Symposium up at Kennedy Space Center. I was on the Transportation Channel. That was a really good event across the board. There was a military section and on and on. I had a chance to keynote the 9/11 ceremony at the Veterans Memorial Center. Special Constitution dinner. Had a great speaker. Well, thank the staff, those of you who all joined in hosting our Junior Achievement Proud, their first day here. And there were 10 of them, and after the Coast Guard tour, there was 2 of them that were very interesting. I'm well spent. Junior Ambassador, that's right. Okay. They're from all the high schools around the county. And then finally, that's the Military Officers Association over in IRCC, Brevard County. I'll give them a port update, and then from here I'm going to the Local Beach Rotary, give them an update.
Wayne, Commissioner Elder.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Each year the American Association of Port Authorities has an annual meeting. This year it is in Boston. The Commissioner's attorney has always been authorized to attend. At this time, I would like to make a motion to approve the Commissioner's attorney, Harold Weisman, be able to attend that APA meeting.
Motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion and a second for Harold to attend. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
One last thing, Mr. Chairman. Last meeting, we all had an opportunity to ambassadors. This time, I'd like to withdraw my nomination of Eileen Davis, my ambassador. Eileen and I have had a discussion, very supportive of the port. There's nothing that I would leave it time to her serve as ambassador, so she and I have both agreed to withdraw her That's all I have.
Bring that up. Mr. Markey?
I have none this month.
I have no report. So thank you for all of you for being here. Our next scheduled meeting is Wednesday, October 23rd. I hope to see all of your smiling faces on that day.